Hello everybody and welcome to another Nephilim Builds. It's Pride Month and we're celebrating by making various LGBTQIA+ characters in media because fuck Trump. Today we're gonna hunt some Oni as Gakko Ibuki from Shaman King Flowers. As always, keep in mind that these videos are about catching the spirit of the character rather than capturing their abilities perfectly. With that said, let's address the obvious. Gakko is a trans boy, so now seems like as good a time as any to address the myth of children being influenced into being gay or trans. I'll put this as simply as I can. If sexuality and gender identity could be influenced, gay and trans people wouldn't exist. Every single one of us would have been influenced into being cishet.
But Nephilim, you were influenced by other queer people.
What other queer people? They wouldn't exist. They'd all be influenced into being cishet too. Hell, there wouldn't be anything to influence unless people were just naturally queer. And yet we exist anyway, not because of influence, but in spite of influence. Sure, a lot of us are influenced into thinking that something is wrong with us or even that it's a choice, and many of us will try and choose to be cishet. I did. I really did. But no matter how hard I tried, it didn't work. I was who I was, and trying to fight that only hurt me. I did not become trans. I did not become pan. All I did was accept that I was. I always have been. And in retrospect, I always knew that I was, even if I didn't have the words for it yet. I'm pretty sure I was still single digits when I first tried on my mom's lipstick. I'd never seen a trans woman or even a drag queen. I just wanted to try it, and it felt right. Kids begin exploring and expressing themselves at an early age, and they are intuitive enough to know if what you're raising them to be doesn't fit them. Sure, you can try and convince them that they're cishet. You can try and convince them that it's a choice. They might even believe it. I believed it for 20 years, and it still took another 10 years to come to terms with myself. But that side of them will never go away, and the longer they're forced to bury it, the more it will hurt and the longer it will take to heal. Trust me, I know. And as a parent, anything that you say or do or believe that hurts your child should be automatic grounds to rethink your entire life. Anything less, and you don't deserve to be a parent. Now, with all that said, let's start with ability scores. Using the standard pointer, I would put the 15 to Charisma. He's got a set of Mega Man armor modeled after a Namahage, and he's called the Anti-Ogre Commander. Gakko is the coolest 13-year-old I've ever seen. Next we'll put the 14 to Constitution. These kids do some brutal shit to each other. After that's the 13 Dexterity. Kids that age are pretty spry. We'll put the 12 into Wisdom for street smarts and then the 10 to Intelligence for regular smarts. Lastly we'll dump Strength. A 13-year-old is still just a 13-year-old. For species, we're going to go with Human. We'll get Resourceful, pick Religion for Oni knowledge, and take the Tough Feet. We'll make a custom background putting our increases into Charisma and Dexterity. We'll take out the Lex and Acrobatics, paint your supplies for Giggles, and the Lucky Feet. Moving on to class, we're going to start off as a Warlock. We'll get Wisdom and Charisma saving throws, pick Arcana Intimidation, and be proficient with light armor and simple weapons. At level 1, we get our Eldritch Invocations, taking the Pact of the Blade for the Oni Cutter Knife Diva. We'll take the Great Sword. The Arm Cannon isn't always a cannon, and that knife is big. We get 2 cantrips, taking True Strike for a stronger slash and Eldritch Blast for the Ogre Cracker. Once it can fire multiple beams, it will be the Anti-Oni Drumroll. We'll also get 2 spells, taking Hex for more damage and Protection from Evil and Good for the Kunnig Defensor. At level 2, we'll get Magical Cunning and 2 more Invocations, taking Armor of Shadows for part of the armor and Agonizing Blast, Eldritch Blast. We'll also take Hellish Rebuke for a retaliatory shot. At level 3, we'll get our Otherworldly Patron, taking the Undead to form a bond with Namaha. We'll get Form of Dread to use with Armor of Shadows for the full Ogre Hunter. We'll also get Bane, False Life, Blindness Deafness, and Phantasmal Force. We'll ignore everything but False Life. We'll also take Mirror Image for the Cloud Technique. Gonna be honest, I've only watched Flowers specifically so I could research Gakko, and I couldn't get a hold of Superstar to read, so I don't actually know how this works. Wiki writers letting me down again. At level 4, we'll take the Wardcaster feat, rounding Charisma. We'll also take Prestidigitation for effects and Spray of Cards for a spread shot. Also, I have to confess, I didn't know they took Shatter away from Warlocks until after I wrote, recorded, and made the sheets for this video. I also did all of that before making Uranus. At level 5 will take Ascendant Step and Otherworldly Leap. That armor gives him hops and it's got jet thrusters. This kit is so cool. Single-handedly made Flowers worth it and he only gets one fight. And no, I'm not taking Thirsting Blade. We won't need it. We'll also get Phantom Steed and Speak with Dead and take Spirit Shroud from Tasha's for more damage. We're not going to multi-class the Paladin, getting medium armor, shields, and all weapons. At level 1 we'll get Lay on Hands and Weapon Mastery, taking the Greatsword. We'll also get 2 spells taking Divine Favor for damage and Compel Duel to 1v1 a bitch. At level 2 we'll get Paladin Smite and our fighting style, taking Great Weapon Fighting. We'll also take Heroism for morale. At level 3 we'll get Channel Divinity and our Sacred Oath. Gakko's wish is to be the strongest man alive, which sounds like a perfect fit for Glory. But the Paladin spell list is small, and Glory steals a couple of the only spells we can reasonably take. So instead we'll hunt Oni with the Oath of Vengeance. We get Vow of Enmity as well as Hunter's Mark from our Oath. We already have Bane. We'll also take Bless for more morale. At level 4 we'll cap our Charisma and take Shield of Faith for AC. At level 5 we'll get Extra Attack and Faithful Steed, which we'll ignore. We'll also get Hold Person and Misty Step from our Oath, which we'll also ignore, and take Aid for more HP. Back to Warlock at level 6 we'll get Grave Touched and take Fly. I have no proof he can do this, but once you add Jet Thrusters, flight is inevitable. I was honestly struggling to pick spells for this build, kind of had his whole Flowers kit at level 3. At level 7 we'll take Lessons of the first ones, taking the Savage Attacker feat. We'll also get Death Ward and Greater Invisibility, ignore the second, and take Summon Aberration. Use this to summon Namaha in her Namahake form. Or summon How, apparently Gakko can do that. I think it's part of Cloud. The wiki doesn't say which of How's techniques he used, so I'm not even gonna try. Also, and this is weird, but the wiki articles I used reference abilities a character used in Superstar, but doesn't actually include any plot stuff from Superstar. The history segments all end at Flowers, and I've checked Gakko, Namaha, and How. I haven't seen a fandom try to ignore an installment this hard since I tried to look up Star Fox Adventure. Anyway, back to Paladin. At level 6 we'll get Aura of Protection, and at level 7 we'll get Relentless Avenger. I'll also take Magic Weapon. At level 8 we'll raise our Dexterity, and at level 9 we'll get Abjure Foes. I'll also get Haste and Protection from Energy from our Oath, and then take Detect Magic and Detect Evil and Good. At level 10 we'll get Aura of Courage, and at level 11 we'll get Radiant Strikes. We'll also take Crusader's Mantle for more morale. Lastly, at Warlock and Paladins level 8 and 12 we'll take the Boons of Fortitude and Spell Recall, Overclock, and Charisma. We'll also take Expeditious Retreat from Warlock to Dash. Now that we're level 20 we finally have our modifiers. Our AC with Armor of Shadows is 16, our Movement Speed is 30, and our average HP is 235 with 8d8 and 12d10 hit dice. And with that, we are done. Now what can this build do? To start, we're an absolute juggernaut with insane HP, decent AC that we can boost, and a devastating amount of melee damage. True Strike with Divine Favor, Divine Smite, Spirit Shroud, and Radiant Strikes with a +6 damage mod and Vow of Enmity on a Greatsword? No wonder he cut that punk-ass Hana in half. We've also got a solid ranged option and some ability options. For weaknesses, we've got a lot of concentration spells and several serve the same general purpose. I was honestly going to go with Champion Fighter instead of Paladin for this reason, but I really wanted my boy to have more than 2 spell slots. A Warlock multiclassed with a Paladin, Bard, or a Sorcerer is better than a mono Warlock. But a Warlock multiclassed with anything without spell slots is borderline ass. A low strength score means we're also in trouble if it gets swarmed by shadows. And roll low on initiative. And don't prep PFEG in advance. Weaknesses aside, Oni that mess with us will be in quite the pickle. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you'd like to support my channel, there's a link to my Patreon down in the description. $1 a month gets you 2-day early access to my videos and access to all of my homebrew content. Let me know what you thought of this video down in the comments, and I'll see you all next time when I make Rain Whispers from the Owl House.